Howdy guys, I am back with more Mass Effect. Last time the Normandy went to the Citadel and Shepard got thrown off the mission and we are not allowed to use the Normandy right now. And I thought, well, before moving on any further, I would work on some of the side quests in the Citadel. So last time I helped out a couple of sisters, and after having looked around the Citadel, I have a lot more side quests and stuff to do. But before I get to doing all that, I figured Shepard could hang out by the water here and pull up the codex that I have been mostly ignoring, and I figured we could just go through it and read all about what's going on in the world of Mass Effect. See how most of this stuff is blue. I haven't really been through it all just yet. Gonna try to get as much of it done as I can in this episode. I might need to break it up into 2 episodes between primary and secondary. I'm not really terribly sure how long this will take, so I'll go ahead and listen to or talk, narrate whatever I need to do, and probably talk a little bit about my thoughts on what I'm reading, and yeah, this is going to be a Codex episode, you've been warned. Let's get to it. First thing we're going to look at are the Council races.
The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Salarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Since then, the Asari have served as the mediators and centrists of the Council. An all-female race, the Asari reproduce through a form of parthenogenesis. They can attune their nervous system to that of another individual of any gender and of any species to reproduce. This capability has led to the unseemly and inaccurate rumors about Asari promiscuity. Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through 3 stages of life. In the maiden stage, they wander restlessly, seeking new knowledge and experience. When the matron stage begins, they meld with interesting partners to produce their offspring. This ends when they reach the matriarch stage, where they assume the roles of leaders and counselors.
I think of most of the alien races, I think this one has got to be, the Asarios have got to be the most interesting to me. Just the fact that of how they reproduce, and the fact that they are still considered like all female or feminine or whatever. It's like they don't really have the same concept of gender that we might. It's just having to wrap your mind around it. But man, getting to live 1,000 years, that is awesome. Like, if I could pick one of these races to play as, it would be this one. Just, oh my gosh. I can't imagine living for like 100 years and you're still considered like an infant, right? You're still a baby, a child at like 100 years old, so... Time, I guess, is relative to them, though. 1,000 years, they've got a long time to do their living. Anyway, let's read about the Salarians.
The second species to join the Citadel, the Salarians, are warm-blooded amphibians with a hyperactive metabolism. Salarians think fast, talk fast, and move fast. To Salarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Salarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Salarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the creation of the genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the krogan rebellions several centuries later. Salarians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they are letting on.
Yeah, these are some really interesting guys. It's a bummer that they only live for 40 years, but I guess they do a lot of living in the time that they have. I kind of wonder how long their childhood is. If it's like, for humans, childhood is basically ends around the late teenage, depending on who you ask, the brain finishes developing in your mid-20s or whatever, so I'm wondering if these guys maybe finish developing at like maybe age 3, age 4, age 5, or what. And I don't really know about these Salarians. Every single one I've run into has been kind of a oddball, but That's, I guess, due to the fact that they don't live very long and they got a lot of living to do in a short amount of time. Anyway, on to the Turians.
Roughly 1,200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence and the Asari for diplomacy. Despite a somewhat colonial attitude towards the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other two races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor. There is lingering animosity between Turians and humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the two species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations.
Okay, and so this incident is why I guess all the Turians have been not so friendly to me. I haven't really run into a whole lot of Turians that I particularly like, but, other than Garrus, basically, but, you can't condemn an entire race because of a few bad apples. I mean, as much as I like Liara and most of the Asari, there's also, a few bad ones as well, the Commandos and Benezia, so... every race has good and bad is what I've kind of learned. Anyway, we're going to go look at the extinct races of aliens now.
50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They are believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy. Prothean ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Kaje, for example, shows clear evidence of former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens.
Oh yeah, I've talked a little bit about this before. I find this super interesting, but the cool thing about reading this or listening to this now is that we know that there was a race that came before the Protheans, and the Protheans didn't actually do all this stuff. Since we met Sovereign, he told us that there was a race that came even before the Protheans, so it's hard to believe that all this technology is even older than 50,000 years. This is like super ancient space junk, yet it's like cutting edge technology for us. It's, makes you really wonder. I look up to the sky and wonder, wow, is there anything true like this in our own world, in our own lives? Could it be possible that we have passed the golden age of space exploration and there's nothing but ruins out there? I doubt that, since we haven't seen any evidence of that, but who knows? This is some scary business to think about, that so long ago, when we were still in caveman era or something, that Protheans were being wiped out. Don't even know what the Protheans look like.
Though now extinct, the rachni once threatened every species in Citadel space. Over 2,000 years ago, explorers foolishly opened a mass relay to a previously unknown system and encountered something never seen before or since, a species of spacefaring insects guided by a hive mind intelligence. Unfortunately, the rachni were not peaceful, and the galaxy was plunged into a series of conflicts known as the Rachni Wars. Attempts to negotiate were futile, as it was impossible to make contact with the hive queens that guided the race from beneath the surface of their toxic home world. The emergence of the Krogan ended the Rachni Wars. Bred to survive the harshest environments, the Krogan were able to strike at the queens in their lairs and reclaim conquered council worlds. But when Krogan fleets pressed them back to their homeworld, the rachni refused to surrender, and the Krogan eradicated them from the galaxy.
Gosh, I can't believe that the Krogan were the ones that were just so easily, pushed these people back, but at the same time it's so hard to hear that they were just like bred to be soldiers. They were used, right? And basically bred like dogs to have certain features, but without them we would all have insect overlords, right? And sounds like I kind of screwed this up by releasing the rachni queen. My bad. No longer extinct. We can go ahead and put these somewhere else. Anyway, let's look at the non-council races.
In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skyllian Verge, much to the dismay of the Batarians, who had been developing the region for several decades. In 2171, the Batarians petitioned the Council to declare the Verge a zone of Batarian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Batarians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies. Hostilities peaked with the Skyllian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with a crushing assault on the moon of Torfin, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think I've run into one of these really ugly looking things, but I think my Shepard's backstory mentioned some stuff, or was supposed to have some stuff at Torfin, so my Shepard's definitely probably seen one of these, even though I don't really think I have. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen one of these goofy looking things. I probably get to maybe do that on a side quest or something. I don't know. I might have missed it, or maybe I just don't remember. Anyway.
The Elcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Decuna. They are massive creatures, standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Elcor move slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has colored their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative. Elcor's speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and sub-vocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Elcor often go out of their way to clarify when they are being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Decuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Elcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Elcor still prefer open sky, and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys.
These are some of my favorite guys. I would totally love to have an Elcor squad mate. I mean, like this, when they go out of their way to clarify whether they're being sarcastic, amused, or angry. I absolutely, I love talking to these things, the way they talk. They're just so funny. These are one of my favorites. What else can I say? I love these guys. Anyways, onward.
The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labor and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society. The Geth possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves. In groups, they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics, as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus Arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the terminus systems.
I find that really interesting that they get basically smarter the more of them that are around. So I wonder why they have that capability, and basically it sounds like what caused the Quarians' downfall was by having too many of these. I'm wondering if, they kept, one or two of these things to do whatever business labor they needed them to do, they would have been fine, but the fact that they probably produced too many and they got too smart for their own good, but gosh, they're AIs, so they're like self-aware. I don't know. It starts getting really strange when you've got these machines that think they're alive, but I mean, it hurts my head to think about it. Let's just move on.
The Hanar are a Citadel species known for excessive politeness. They speak with scrupulous precision and take offense at improper language. Hanar that expect to deal with other species take special courses to help them unlearn their tendency to take offense at improper speech. All Hanar have two names. The face name is known to the world. The soul name is kept for use among close friends and relations. Hanar never refer to themselves in the first person in conversation with someone they know on a face name basis. To do so is considered egotistical, so instead they refer to themselves as this one, or the impersonal it. Their homeworld, Kaje, has 90% ocean cover and orbits an energetic white star, resulting in a permanent blanket of cloud. Due to the presence of Prothean ruins on the world, many Hanar worship them, and Hanar myths often speak of an elder race that civilized them by teaching them language.
Okay, so that 90% ocean cover, that explains why they look like jellyfish, I guess. But yeah, see, I hadn't read this, so I'm glad I'm going through this, because I noticed that the Hanar kind of talk strangely, and I didn't know this about the face name and the soul name. That's pretty cool. Definitely be neat to have one of these as a squad mate. I'd like to see how the soul name goes for having people that are close friends, but if you have one as a squad mate, then you're gonna have a romance, and then there's tentacles, and it's just gonna get all weird, so can't happen. No.
When the Asari discovered the Citadel, they also discovered the Keepers, a docile, multi-limbed insect race that seemingly exists only to maintain and repair the Great Prothean Station. Early attempts to communicate with or study the Keepers were failures, and it is now illegal to interfere with or impede Keeper activity. Because they are completely non-threatening, Keepers have become virtually invisible to everyone else. Similarly, they seem indifferent to other species, except for their tendency to help new arrivals integrate themselves into the Citadel. No matter how many Keepers die due to old age, violence, or accident, they maintain a constant number. No one has discovered the source of new Keepers, but some hypothesize they are genetic constructs, biological androids created somewhere deep in the inaccessible core of the Citadel itself.
So basically, we have biological, almost, they're just keepers, but, there has to be stuff about the Citadel that no one knows, and everyone's apparently just kind of okay with it. These things must have come even before the Protheans, right? But they just sit there and hang out. Heck, I'm in the middle of a side quest to scan these things. I don't know if I should keep... I'm missing 2. I haven't found 2 of them, so... Very interesting. I didn't realize they had this much going on.
The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment. Until the invention of gunpowder weapons, eaten by predators was still the #1 cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards, it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species, struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology, so they could serve as soldiers in the Rachni War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion. They began to colonize nearby worlds. Even though these worlds were already inhabited, the Krogan rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all krogan resistance. The genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the krogan are a slowly dying breed. Understandably, the krogan harbor a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians.
Gosh, I wish I read this, or well, listened to this sooner. That explains why Rex is so angry all the time, but I don't know, look at him. I'm still convinced it's not so much the genophage, it's just that if the males look like this, the females can't look much different, and man, they must be some ugly ladies, man. I'd love to see a female krogan. Yeah. Alright, I'm thinking about this a bit too much. Quarians.
Driven from their home system by the Geth nearly 3 centuries ago, most Quarians now live aboard the Migrant Fleet, a flotilla of 50,000 vessels ranging in size from passenger shuttles to mobile space stations. Home to 17 million Quarians, the flotilla understandably has scarce resources. Because of this, each Quarian must go on a rite of passage known as the pilgrimage when they come of age. They leave the fleet and only return once they have found something of value they can bring back to their people. Other species tend to look down on the Quarians for creating the Geth and for the negative impact their fleet has when it enters a system. This has led to many myths and rumors about the Quarians, including the belief that underneath their clothes and breathing masks, they are actually cybernetic creatures, a combination of organic and synthetic parts.
I can't help but wonder if that is kind of true. I mean, what are they underneath there? I understand their from what Tally told us, their immune system is completely terrible because they live in a clean environment, so they can't take this get up off, but what the heck are they up underneath all of that? I wish we could see at least what her face must look like, but whatever.
The Volus are a member species of the Citadel with their own embassy, but they are also a client race of the Turians. Centuries ago, they were voluntarily absorbed into the hierarchy, effectively trading their mercantile prowess for Turian military protection. Erun, their homeworld, lies far beyond the normal life zone of its star. However, the world has a high-pressure greenhouse atmosphere that traps enough heat to support an ammonia-based biochemistry. As a result, the Volus must wear pressure suits and breathers when dealing with other species, as conventional nitrogen-oxygen air mixtures are poisonous to them, and in the low-pressure atmospheres tolerable to most species, their flesh will actually split open. Volus culture is tribal, bartering lands and even people to gain status. This culture of exchange inclines them to economic pursuits. It was the Volus who authored the Unified Banking Act, and they continue to monitor and balance the Citadel economy.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know this about them either, where their flesh will actually split open. My gosh, I guess that explains the apparatus that they've got, but I think they actually did a pretty good job in this game of really making each race, quite different, but the fact that, they would actually not be able to live in every, the Quarians and the Volus, they wouldn't actually be able to exist in every environment. The only thing I don't think they've really explained is why the fact that every single person can speak English perfectly. I'm wondering if maybe there's some kind of there's some accepted intergalactic language that everyone speaks, and just for the sake of making it easy, we just assume it's English, or they just show it in English and there's a language that we all speak, or maybe there's some kind of translating thing we all use. I don't think that's been explained, but you can kind of just, I don't know, make guesses about it. Anyway, let's look at these.
After the Geth secure a location, they round up and impale dead and living bodies on mechanical spikes. The spikes rapidly transform these victims into withered husks, extracting water and trace minerals, and replacing them with cybernetics. The cybernetics reanimate the lifeless flesh and tissue, transforming the bodies into mindless killing machines. Some Alliance soldiers refer to the husk-generating spikes as dragon's teeth. a reference to the mythological berserkers who sprang up from the earth wherever the teeth of the dragon Eris were planted. Dragon's teeth and husks bear little resemblance to other pieces of Geth technology. No one is sure why a synthetic race would bother to drain the minuscule amount of recoverable resources from organic corpses, though the value of reusing them as shock troops is obvious.
Now this makes me think it has something to do with the Reapers, because the Geth basically worship the Reapers, so I'm wondering if draining the, the amount, because the Reapers are hell-bent on destroying all organic life, and why? Do they need something from them? Do they use them as fuel? I feel like the fact that the Geth use this and the fact that the Reapers want to wipe us all out are maybe connected, but I don't know. I think there might be more to that, and especially since no one is sure why they're doing it, right?
Thresher moths are subterranean carnivores that spend their entire lives eating or searching for something to eat.
Just like me.
Threshers reproduce via spores that can lie dormant for millennia, yet are robust enough to survive prolonged periods in deep space and atmospheric re-entry. As a result, thresher spores appear on many worlds, spread by previous generations of space travelers. The body of a thresher never entirely leaves the ground. Only the head and tentacles erupt from the earth to attack. In addition to physical attacks, threshers have the ability to project toxic chemicals and emit bursts of infrasound as a shockwave weapon. The Alliance first encountered threshers on the colony of Akuz in 2177. After contact was lost with the Pioneer team, Marine units were deployed to investigate. The shore parties were set upon by hungry threshers, and nearly the entire assault force was killed. Alliance forces recommend engaging threshers with vehicle-mounted heavy weapons.
Oh man, yeah, fighting these has pretty much never been any fun. They're usually pretty tough little guys, that's for sure. So, didn't realize this about the spores and stuff. That's pretty crazy. Ugh. Alright, moving on.
Varren are omnivores with a preference for living prey. Originally native to the Krogan homeworld of Tuchanka, they are, like most life from Tuchanka, savage, clannish, and consummate survivors. They are pack hunters when vulnerable prey is readily available, and become scavengers when outnumbered or outclassed. Their supreme adaptability, vicious demeanor, and rapid breeding cycle have made them ubiquitous and dangerous pests on many worlds. Virtually everywhere the Krogan have been, Varren infestations have followed, wreaking havoc with the native ecology. The Krogan have had a love-hate relationship with Varren for millennia, alternately fighting them for territory and embracing them as treasured companions. To this day, Krogan raise them as beasts of war. One of the common subgenus of Varren has metallic silver scales, leading to the rather unusual nickname, fish dogs.
I think it'd be pretty cool. It's too bad that you can't have one of these guys as a companion like you could in Dragon Age Origins. You could have a little dog companion, having a little Varren companion would be pretty cool. My gosh, I just looked down at my timer and it's already almost been 30 minutes. I've only gotten through the races. I didn't realize the Codex was going to take me so long.
The Citadel is
alright, okay. That's gonna probably take me a lot longer. Okay, yeah, these codexes are gonna take me a lot longer than I thought, so I'll go ahead and leave it there with just the different aliens. I figure this is probably a good place to stop. And then next time I can get as much through the other half of the codex as I can, and then eventually the secondary codex. So, gosh, I can't believe it's already been like 30 minutes, but it has. So I'm going to go ahead and be done for now. Thank you guys so much for watching me play, if you can call this playing Mass Effect. Hope you enjoyed the little codex episode, and the next couple of episodes most likely are going to be codex episodes, and then I'm going to be doing more side quests and looking around the Citadel. So it's going to be a while till we're back out in space, but It's good to get caught up and really immersed in the world of Mass Effect because I've been blitzing through it way too fast. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching and bye for now.